all of you. I'm happy to greet you all in the second day international conference on new waves of digitalization, socialization, and educational system, which jointly organized by the Research Cultural Society and QI International National University of Trade and Economics Department of Journalism and Advertising. I have requesting to all of the speakers. I just tell the name of the speakers who is be with us. Name is Renia Lampo, Tanya, Evangela, Rajiv Indramani, Javed Khatri, and Mrs. Libanese Ligia. So these all are the speakers of today's. So today we just start with our session. The speakers, I want to introduce the name of first speakers, Renia Lempoa. Renia Lempoa is the instructor of an ICT instructor and an ICT teacher trainer in Greece. She has been awarded many national and international prizes. She is also a passionate researcher on cognitive psychology and cognitive neuroscience. She has postgraduate avid in language teaching related to cognitive neuroscience. She is the founder and international coordinator of 4 innovative international projects that focus on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals described in our 2030 agenda. She promotes STEAM vision of introducing STEAM in astronomy and physics projects and comprise STEAM with language teaching. She is also an author of scientific books of kids. She is currently working to the Greek Ministry of Education as the Director of Educational Technology and Innovation. Ma'am, kindly request to keep present this conference. We'll start your speech.
Yes. Warm welcome, Rania.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Please.
Yes, good morning.
To every participant. Thanks a lot for your kind invitation to participate in this enriching and meaningful conference. My name is Rania Lampo. I'm a STEM instructor and ICT teacher trainer. Currently, I'm working at the Greek Ministry of Education at the Directorate of Education, Technology and Innovation. And today we will explore the new digital landscape as it is shaped today in the post-COVID era and the new normal, and we'll suggest some effective teaching methodologies based mostly on principles of neuroeducation and cognitive neurosciences. May I share my presentation?
Yes. Yeah, sure.
Can you enable the share screening? Okay. So COVID has immediately changed the ways in which we live, we work, we interact, and the ability to adapt, engage, and inspire through a crisis more important than ever before. So the sudden unprecedented shattering of schools due to the COVID pandemic forced educators to face the most rapid change of perhaps any profession in history. Within a moment's notice, teachers were asked to leave the classrooms indefinitely and in many cases to recreate a virtual learning environment. So ensuring learning continuity during the time of school closures became a priority for governments the world over, all over the world, and many of which turned to ICT, requiring teachers to move to online delivery of lessons. So we have a disruption. The COVID pandemic has created the largest disruption of education systems in history, affecting nearly 1.5 billion learners in more than 190 countries and all continents, having already near a very universal impact on learners and teachers around the world, from pre-primary to secondary schools, technical and vocational education and training, institutions, universities, adult learning and skills development establishments. Closures of schools and other learning spaces have impacted 94% of the world student population, representing 1.5 billion children and youth from pre-primary to higher education in 200 countries and up to 99% in low and lower middle income countries. So the ability to respond to school closures changes dramatically, of course, with the level of development. For instance, for the second quarter 2020, 86% of children in primary education have been effectively out of school in countries with low human development, compared with just 20% in countries with high human development. So we'll talk about disparities in learning opportunities. The crisis exacerbating pre-existing education disparities by reducing the opportunities for many of the most vulnerable children, youth and adults, those living in poor or rural areas, girls, refugees, persons with disabilities, and forcibly displaced persons to continue their learning. An estimated 40% of the poorest countries failed to support learners at risk during the COVID crisis, and past experiences show that both education and gender inequalities tend to be neglected in responses to disease outbreaks. So children with disabilities who were already marginalized before the outbreak are not always included in strategies of distance learning. Refugee and forcibly displaced children are further marginalized and deprived of access to support services offered through schools, such as school meals, etc. The most vulnerable learners are also those who have poor digital skills and the least access to the hardware and the connectivity required for distance learning solutions implemented during school closures. So we're talking about the learning loss. 14 million children worldwide have missed out on early childhood education in the critical preschool year. Therefore, they missed a stimulating and enriching environment, learning opportunities, social interaction, and in some cases, adequate nutrition. This is likely to compromise their long-term healthy development, especially those who are who come from poor and disadvantaged families. In technical and vocational education training systems, vulnerabilities including low levels of digitalization and long-lasting structural weaknesses have been brought to light by the crisis. Disruptions in workplaces made it difficult to implement apprenticeship schemes and work-based learning modes, key elements of a functional and market-responsive technical and vocational system. What happens in the higher education? The higher education subsector, while online learning has generally taken place through recorded lectures and online platforms, some universities have postponed learning and teaching until further notice due to the lack of information technology infrastructure for both students and teachers. So questions remain about how to harmonize semesters and academic calendars, as some programs have been successfully implemented online while others could not be. We had an increased dropout. In addition to the learning loss, the economic impact on households is likely to widen the inequities in education achievement. UNESCO estimates that to 23 million additional children and youth from pre-primary to tertiary may drop out or not have access to school due to the pandemic economic impact alone. So the total number of children not returning to their education after the school closure is likely to be even greater. This fact, of course, shows that make many girls and young women more vulnerable to child marriage, early pregnancy, and gender-based violence, all of which decrease the likelihood of continuing their education. Here we can see that during the pandemic, the quarantine, we had a global collaboration in teacher education. We had two platforms, well-known Global Education Coalition launched by UNESCO and Teachers Task Force for Education 2030. As states adopt distance learning practices, students with disabilities are facing barriers due to the absence of necessary equipment, internet access, accessible materials, and the support that would allow them to follow online programs. Some countries are developing tools and resources for learners with disabilities and their parents. From the onset of the pandemic, teachers were immediately asked were immediately tasked with implementing distance learning modalities, often without sufficient guidance, training, or resources. This occurred at every level of education. In many contexts, teacher professional development moved online or was disseminated via telephone and video application, but marginalized teachers who may have missed out on this support. Web-based class meetings and messaging applications have become useful tools and new ways of communicating with the learners and the education community. So teachers across the globe were largely unprepared to support continuity of learning and to adapt to new teaching methodologies. And even in context with adequate infrastructure and connectivity, many educators lack the most basic ICT skills, meaning they will likely struggle with their own ongoing development. So the COVID crisis has highlighted that both initial and in-service teacher education are in need of reform to better train teachers in new methods of education delivery. However, the crisis has stimulated innovation in within the education sector. We have seen many innovative approaches in support of education and training continuity. Distance learning solutions were developed thanks to quick responses by governments and partners all over the world, supporting education continuity. So the pandemic gave teachers the opportunity to collaborate on the national level and exchange their opinions and experiences about this unprecedented situation. I believe that this crisis could also be a great resetter of economies, societies, and education, an opportunity to bring forward long-awaited reforms for the development of the education community's digital skills. So the pandemic aroused the need for optimizing the roles of teachers, since teachers are the agents of change in education. The fourth industrial revolution has equipped societies with highly powerful tools. Some countries have managed to leverage these tools in order to win the fight in the COVID pandemic and the post-COVID era. However, in states that have no technological infrastructures, leadership has emerged as a vital tool, and teachers were forced to follow the eminent words of the American President Theodore Roosevelt, who said that doing what they can with what they have. That means that where our leaders do not have technology resources to combat this threat, they must have the heart, brain, and soul. Therefore, countries that were unable to immediately leverage the capabilities of the fourth industrial revolution must turn to strategic action. Our current reality calls for responsible leadership. During the quarantine, teachers were not anymore unsung heroes. We became celebrated heroes. And we should not forget the fact that real heroes are not born. Real heroes are forged in the crisis and inspire people through difficult times. So the COVID crisis showed the need for change in the field of teaching and learning. The post-COVID era requires teachers to develop special skills in order to survive and thrive in the uncertain world of the new normal. We should highlight three very important skills: flexibility, adaptability, and resilience. Adaptable teacher is a teacher who is able to or willing to change in order to face different conditions. A flexible teacher can do this easily, and a resilient teacher is able to recover quickly from unexpected or difficult conditions, adapting to change on a regular basis. Furthermore, the post-COVID experience urges teachers to be more adaptable toward technological advancement and be able to use it, as well as to build a lifelong learning, since it helps students facing and adapting the future changes. Teachers must have more access to technology-oriented professional development and be able to teach and share knowledge through current ICT and social media. So technology skills, of course, include content that is based on developing digital skills, including programming, digital responsibility, and the use of technology. And of course, we're talking about a self-directed, personalized, and self-paced learning. However, digital learning process, the post-COVID era demands curriculum redesign, blended learning, and lifelong learning. Why? Because long-standing literacies covering reading and writing are not sufficient anymore. New literacies are required. as assets to face the post-COVID era. There are these three new literacies are data literacy, technological literacy, and human literacy. Data literacy, students are expected to have the capabilities of reading, analyzing, and utilizing information, big data in the digital world. Students should also have technological literacy. They need to understand how machine works and technological applications such as coding, artificial intelligence, and engineering principles. And the most important of all is human literacy in order for students to function as human beings. Industrial revolution brings impacts toward individual identities, moral and ethics, and human connections. So teachers must maintain human characters while working with technology machines. They need to stimulate greater human connectivity through the exchange and collaborations of students, which is enabled, of course, through global and regional networks. Therefore, investment in emerging technologies goes along with human connectivity and digital resilience. Global citizenships are also essential because they focus on building awareness about the world's sustainability, playing an active role in the global community. Another important thing, very difficult during online learning, is assessment. We need innovative continuous assessment. Innovative methods have received a lot of attention nowadays. Students' progress can be monitored with mobile phone surveys, tracking users and performance statistics from learning platforms and apps, and implementing rapid learning assessments to identify learning gaps. Every solution has a challenge, notably in terms of equity. We have also been reminded of the essential role of teachers, and that governments and other key partners have an ongoing duty of care to educational personnel. So in the post-COVID era, teachers are expected to adopt appropriate roles during a lesson for a particular context of learning. A real leader is an input provider, a facilitator, a feedback provider, an advisor, a prompter, an organizer, a guider, storyteller, and evaluator. However, the most important is the role of teachers in interactive learning. Interaction is the core of communication, since it covers collaborative exchange of thought, feelings, or ideas. This interactivity serves the goal of human literacy, which requires students to be humanistic, have communicative skills, and creative skills. The teachers have, we saw that the increased use of the digital tools in the learning process causes great changes in the human brain. Changes, the transformation of already existing cognitive structures or the construction of new ones. So the role of neuroeducation, neuroscience is very important, particularly this unprecedented period, because it can help us understand the inner workings of the human brain, and it can help us plan our strategy to face problems related to the excessive use of digital tools during social distancing. For instance, neuroeducation can give teachers the framework with the help of which they can develop challenging activities that could increase attention and improve memorization. Human brains learn optimally. Learns means makes a maximum number of connections when it is intrinsically motivated. So intrinsic motivation is also necessary for student creativity. So brain-based teaching strategies are essential in order to create effective learning. What are the most important brain-based strategies? First of all, create positive environment, create positive emotions. Why? We saw that many researchers show that COVID crisis took an emotional toll on children. We saw that there were many mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, insomnia, post-traumatic stress. So it is crucial to create positive emotions, and this suggestion has a universal significance, it's not restricted to the pandemic. So the role of emotion is very important. Everything we learn is influenced and organized by emotions, states of minds. Second one is how to make learning pleasant. Learning is reinforced by challenge and inhibited by threat. Challenging activities could increase attention and improve memorization. Human brain learns optimally. We said that when intrinsically motivated. we should also develop social skills. Teachers should place emphasis on teaching the students how to develop empathy, solidarity, and altruism. Why? Because our brain is social. That means that our brain evolves and learns through interaction and experiences with others. So learning cannot progress well when students feel isolated and lonely. The brain seems to like learning from others. Social distancing is not only physical, and it's only physical, and it shouldn't lead to isolation. Through online collaborative platforms, children can develop communication and collaboration with their peers. Asynchronous communication tools like chat channels, bulletin boards, and discussion groups foster interaction and peer-to-peer support. Another important thing is that we need to encourage our students to express their feelings and promote self-awareness and self-management. And of course, we need to create a safe environment. Why? Because our brain seeks security, so we have to reassure students that everything is going to be all right. And the last but not least is how to adopt an appropriate methodology. Appropriate methodology is what fits best to the needs, rhythm, and interest of both teachers and students. So the coordination of synchronous and asynchronous teaching is very important, because with the help of teleconferencing, the teacher can discuss the tasks assigned to the teacher. Assignments and activities given to students should not need special intervention from parents. They should respect the material already taught and should not require skills much above the average. Why? Because in this case, we would have students at different speeds. Now, what about the education policy? Preventing the learning crisis from becoming a catastrophe. We need to set the top priorities. So top priorities, the best way not just to protect the rights of millions from learning, but to drive economic progress, sustainable development, and lasting peace. So we need to pursue the following policy responses. First of all, we have to protect education financing. National authorities and the international community need to protect education financing by addressing inefficiencies in education spending and strengthening international coordination to address the debt crisis. So the education ministry should strengthen dialogue with ministries of finance in a systematic and sustained way to maintain and where possibly increase the share of the national budget for education. So ongoing reforms and innovation should be prioritized. We need to build resilient education systems. So we need to focus on equity and inclusion, reinforce capabilities for risk management at all levels of the system, ensure strong leadership and coordination, and enhance consultation communication mechanism. We have to reimagine education and accelerate change in teaching and learning. How? We can focus on addressing learning losses and prevent dropouts, particularly of marginalized groups. We could support the teaching profession and teachers' readiness. Technology alone cannot guarantee good learning outcomes. More important than training teachers in ICT skills is ensuring that they have the assessment and pedagogical skills to meet students at their level and to implement the accelerated curricula and differentiated learning strategies likely to emerge in the return to school. So digital solutions need relevant content, adequate instructional models, effective teaching practices, and a supportive learning environment. Teacher development and professionalization are the key to ensure they are sufficiently qualified, remunerated, and prepared. Also, we need to define the right to education to include connectivity entitlement, and of course, remove barriers to connectivity. What about higher education? In many higher education systems, institutions, the move to distance learning has been an opportunity to expand flexible learning modalities, setting a stage for a sustained shift towards more online learning in this sector in the future. So the outbreak of the pandemic has put the world of higher education in Europe and worldwide under great pressure. The crisis has forced higher education institutions to swiftly change their status quo, their ways of working and their environments, dramatically shaking up our communities. At the same time, the situation has also brought to light the rigidity of our current higher education system, a rigidity we are now confronted with and which will inevitably has to change as a consequence of current and future lockdowns. Lecture rooms were empty and most students were following the courses by online and digital means. International mobility, as we know it, is under threat due to travel restrictions and preventive measures that may be in place for a long period to come. Many research labs whose activities are not strictly related to finding solutions to COVID, as well as other research infrastructures, have been obliged to close during lockdowns and may not be able to operate at full capacity for the duration of the crisis. So we had immediate, what are the immediate challenges that we need to confront? Broad scale institutional disruption, mass student displacements, technical debt, maintaining instructional operations, including exams, coursework, and awarding of degrees, maintaining or closing research operations. They had to train instructors on how to teach remotely. So we need to tailor the training to allow each academic staff member to define their own plan for content, goals, and learning assessment through the new modality. We need to seek and adapt existing online or remote platforms where creation of new online courses out of traditional instruction is not feasible. We need to do surveys. We need to do surveys on students on their capacity to engage in remote learning as far as equipment, family responsibilities, home environment is concerned, to see how realistic it is. And we need to coach and support students on how to learn. Other challenges we need to confront is to determine institutional policies for assessing current term students' performance and for teaching assessments and course evaluations. We need to review and determine graduation requirements for this academic year. We need to assess adequacy of provision, financial and material support for at-risk students. Develop and implement programs to keep at-risk students engaged. What about research? Research needs to support academic staff in this transition. Policies they need to provide support to allow research fellows and staff to maintain access to networks, materials, technology, and any virtual laboratories and simulators to provide some level of research continuity. We need to consider shared maintenance programs across the centers for equipment and to need to limit the exposure during pandemic-related closures. And we need to consider options like virtual reality for conducting experiments and research. We saw that during the pandemic, we saw many platforms, many investments that included fiber optic infrastructure, such collaborations known as National Research Education Networks. We saw that the market for LMS and learning management solutions were dominated by Moodle and other platforms like Coursera and edX, with a scalable learning management system. And private sector video conference solutions complement LMS, including Zoom, Skype for business, etc. So we're talking about 5 important actions. Education, first of all, because during the lockdown, universities had to quickly adapt their educational offer into online format. So we need to face the questions, what are the new teaching methods, tools and formats that have been emerging so far? Which of these will remain after the pandemic? Why? Because the crisis has equally brought many organizational challenges, forcing institutions to rethink, redesign, and re-examine their priorities and their governance model. So we need to operate in emergency remote teaching to minimize disruptions rather than fully embracing online education, in this, at least at this period. It is therefore important to explore how online teaching and blended learning will evolve in the months that coming and years ahead to ensure that high quality is maintained. What about research? COVID has brought scientific research into the spotlight. Scientists have been started receiving a great deal of attention from society and governments. On one hand, we have researchers working on COVID-related issues, and on the other hand, other researchers for non-COVID issues have had great difficulties in accessing labs, libraries, archives, museum collections, and funding opportunities for other areas of research. What about internationalization? Internationalization, as we know it has been massively affected by the pandemic because the current model, heavily based on physical mobility, has both been hindered and called into question. So the outbreak of the pandemic has put a strain on internationalization. International students have been among the first ones to be affected by the lockdown, especially those who were abroad when the crisis started. So according to research, according to a report, 42 of the exchange students decided to stay in the destination country, 40% decided to go back home, 4% were stuck in destination country, not be able to return home, and 8% were unable to start their exchange, 5% were unable to, were undecided on what to do. So university governance has to prepare dispositions for those decided to stay. And they had to prepare a full range of online activities and create a new educational content. What about societal engagement is a part of universities enhancing the participation of university communities into other sectors of society. So that means that universities are not alone. They need to collaborate with other private and government organizations and factors. The crisis has equally brought, we said, many organizational challenges, forcing institutions to rethink their priorities. So the quick reshuffle of resources and staff has been unprecedented. Communication and leadership here are a key element of tackling this crisis. So university leaders have to provide teaching staff with adequate tools, establish new working methods, increase the communication, and provide direction. At the same time, they have to keep in mind the well-being of their staff and student communities. So, an undeniable human right. The education is undoubtedly the bedrock of just, equal, and inclusive strategies and the key driver of sustainable development. So strengthening the resilience of education systems enables countries to respond to the immediate challenges of safely reopening schools and positions them to better cope with future crises. So as we build back resilience, we need to ensure that education systems are more flexible, equitable, and inclusive. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your enlightening and stimulating speech. Our next guest is Tanya Constantopoulos. She is an ESL special education teacher running inclusion diffusion, where students with difficulties and disorder are taught classes and receive language intervention to BA English language and literature and MA in special education. She is also researchers and inclusive pedagogy and present in national and international conferences to raise teacher awareness and special educational needs. Thank you so much, ma'am, and please kindly share your thoughts.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, your voice is audible.
Good.
Yes, yeah,
I'm gonna share my screen for you so that we can start. Okay. To make this box small.
Galina Bruhanova. She is also specialized in graphic design, and we are very happy that we can enjoy and we can take part in this nice conference and very interesting.
Something. So I am once again, good morning to all my dear colleagues. I am Dr. Bharti Sharma. I am working as the Associate Professor Special Education in Department of Teacher Training and Non-Formal Education. It is also known as Institute of Advanced Studies in Education and comes under the Faculty of Education. And this is the Jamia Millia Islamia University, and it is situated in Delhi, New Delhi. And it is the central government universities run by Government of India. So more prominently, my area of working is special education, teacher education, and education as a whole. So we do work in the area of school education as well as for the teacher education. As it is the Faculty of Education, we do work in two major areas, school education and the teacher education. And we do see many things in the pre-service teacher education as well as in pre-service teacher education of the country. We do organize various programs as well as we do see the national level bodies. I am very much part of the various national level bodies wherein we do plan the curriculum and other things for the country. Today, I am going to present a paper on M-Learning. It is M-Learning for students with special needs during and after COVID-19. So by this presentation, I would like to say that yes, we know that during the COVID-19 period, the children with special needs are they are on the edge. When we say that when talking about the inclusive education and the other aspects in the field of special education, we do say that students are having less opportunities. They are not enrolled in the special education. In the general education system, we have to include them. So various kinds of things we do say about the special education domain as a whole. But during the COVID-19 period, the most suffering population is the children with disabilities, because they are at home now, and there are the situations when the students cannot be in touch with many of the uh, uh, educational organizations. So I found that there is a need to see that mobile learning is helpful for them or not. So contextually, mm, uh, we should say that that COVID-19 basically posed different challenges as well as the opportunities for all of us, for the teachers, for the students, for the educational organizations, content developers, and the test conducting agencies. We are literally testing our skills, how well we can teach, how well we can teach through ICT. Yes, before this we were definitely talking about ICT, we were definitely talking about e-learning, we were definitely talking about mobile learning, we were definitely talking about online learning and education, we are talking about open and distance education through the help of ICT. But COVID-19 is definitely posed a challenge before us, and it also provided us the opportunities to now see the education sector through ICT's lens, or considering a medium ICT as a medium of instruction in our courses also. Yes, higher education is benefited due to this, and school education and the school education of children with special needs is it suffered a lot, specifically in the primary, elementary, and the secondary level. So contextually, I'm not reading the whole presentation, but herein I want to say that ICT is the very important, a very powerful tool to in the field of education, in the area of education of children with special needs, and definitely it join us join the people to the entire world. Means the global community can meet very well at very least cost with the help of information and communication technology. And while talking about the M-learning, I have just not created very complex terms herein. M-learning is nothing but mobile phone technology based learning, wherein the students do study with the help of mobile, and they are having various softwares in it, and various kinds of programs do run in these mobiles. Mobile phone is very handy. It's easy to carry wherever we go, and it's cost effective also, while considering the cost of the uh, computer system as a whole, as well as the laptops. Mobile uh, mobile cell phone is comparatively least expensive, so it can come under the reach of the students also, wherein the country like India, as well as the others also, wherein there is lots of poverty. The people cannot afford to take and use the computer system, so they can, but they can buy the mobile phones. So I found it a good method, and it's going on as well also in the Kendriya Vidyalayas schools, in the Navodaya Vidyalaya schools, and in fact, the Municipal Corporation of Delhi's schools are using the mobile phone for their for the education purpose at this moment during the COVID-19 period. Onto the mobile phone, we can check the facts, we can take pictures, we can take photos, we can make videos, we can carry out various tasks. We use it as a dictionary, we can use it as a translator, we use it as a calendar. Now at this time we are using it for the meetings. Google Meets are going on with the help of mobile phones. We are using it for Zoom meetings and the team meets as well. Microsoft Teams ke liye bhi, we are using it for the Microsoft Teams as well. And regarding the terminology associated with children with special needs, here in this work, children with special needs basically refers to critical group of children who may not be availing the opportunities, educational opportunities basically, and have specific needs to cope up with the limitations due to their disabilities. So children with special needs are those children who need some sort of help, some sort of opportunities, some sort of need fulfillment by the authorities, by uh, uh, the educational organizations, by the people who are working in the field of education. So they need uh, uh, a, a help in their overall educational learning. For this purpose, I have just framed two objectives: to study the M-learning applications assisting children with special needs during and after COVID-19, to study the challenges faced by students with special needs while using mobile phone learning technology during and after COVID-19. And for this particular work, the population I have chosen, it is all the students with special needs studying in senior secondary classes of different schools of Delhi, and the teachers who are teaching the specific disabilities. Out of the big population, बंद करो ना इसे आप, in the specific entire population, the sample which was taken out is 5 schools have been chosen from all the big population, because we all know that sample is the representative group of taken from the population. And the convenient sampling method, as it is best suited during the COVID-19 situations, wherein we can get it conveniently And we have collected the data from the Google Forms we have made, as well as the telephonic conversations that can be done with the help of the number I have taken from and collected through my database. And the tools and techniques which I have used here is the interview schedule as well as the questionnaire. So the data analysis and interpretation part involves the qualitative as well as the quantitative data. And we have done the discourse analysis for the unstructured data, and the percentages were calculated to get the quantitative analysis of data, as well as the quantification of um, the numbers, or we should say that the percentage we have calculated. So what I have found that there are various softwares which we can use in the M-learning applications, uh, such as TalkBack, ScanLife, Large Font App, Walkie Talkie, Ultra Magnifier, Commander, BioAd, TapTap, UHear, American Sign Language. It is specifically for children with special needs, and the children with having hearing disabilities. PDS, Play It Down, Walk Sciences, Mode Math, and the My Talk tools, Dyslexic Toolbox, Stop, Breathe and Think, Voice Dream Reader, Reading Machine, Calculator, Google Maps, yes, Voice Recorder. So these are all various kinds of the applications which we can use in the mobile phone. Mobile phone is having two major aspects associated with it. When we purchase a mobile, there are basic inbuilt applications which are all there in the mobile, which provides us various kinds of services. And afterward, we can download various applications in it for the educational purpose. For example, we can download NCERT's mobile learning app. We can download NCERT's National Council of Educational Research and Trainings app for children with special needs, wherein there are various sources of information, and various kinds of information has been provided. Then we can also download various kinds of other educational apps, just like the Byju's, just like the Vedantu, and the other apps can also be downloaded, and tabs can be used for the same purpose. So we can get the inbuilt applications in the software, and we can download from the Play Store and the other ways, depending upon the mobile we have. If we have the Android system, we can get the software from those systems, and if we have the iOS system, we can get the information of the various software through that way only. For example, if I am using the iOS system at present, also I am using the iOS system, I am using the Mac only. And while using the Mac, we have to take the permission from the Mac. So the Mac system is asking for the permission to share the screen with Zoom. So these things are going on, and we can get the software applications as per our system we are using. So various kinds of challenges have also found during this work, that first of all, it is found that the children with special needs, they were very happy with the mobile, and they are using maximum, because the sample was from the senior secondary schools. Maximum number of students were using the mobiles. And the disabilities I have covered here these are the visual impairment, hearing impairment, and the specific learning disabilities. And these students were using the mobile. Visual impaired students were using it for receiving all the calls, as well as they are doing the work and the mobiles also. And they were happy with the touch screen phone. They feel that touch screen phone is good for them, and it's helpful for them because it is easy to use. And they always prefer for the larger screen size mobiles. They always look for the functionality of the mobiles and the softwares as well. They always look for the accessibility features of the mobile as well as the software application. They do look into the inbuilt accessibility features as well as they want to download the apps which are useful for them in their education part. And they were very much, in fact, I should say they were using the entire system of mobile technology. Many of the students complained about the cost of the mobiles also. Yes, at the senior secondary level, many of the students can purchase the mobile, but at the primary level, at the elementary level, at the early childhood care and education level, at the secondary level also, students cannot purchase the mobile at their own. So they are very much concerned about the cost as well as the accessibility also. Many a time the socio-economic status of these students and their parents doesn't allow them to buy the mobiles, and the quality of the mobile do. It is also very important. So many things they have just talked about regarding the mobile phone technology. And they use camera also, but many of the students were not using the camera for the study purpose. Yes, they were using the entire mobile phone technology for taking their classes, for calling and receiving. So moreover, I should say that they are willing to upgrade their mobiles, and many a times um, they used to say that yes, problems are there while using the mobile phone technology, uh, but these can be overcome with a little bit of training. So sometimes training needs have also been found out to overcome these difficulties. So basically the study found that mobile learning is highly beneficial to them, and student can use them, download various applications which suits them. They can use it in the education also. There is a positive role of using mobile phone technology in education, specifically in the area of COVID-19 period. But accessibility is important, monetary conditions of the students are important. The issues which they have just stated, that internet connectivity is also an issue. If the student is living in a urban area, then the internet connectivity is all good. But when the student is living in a remote area or the rural belt or the rural area, so the issue is associated with the internet connectivity and the digital cables also. They are just talking about these things. They have just told the various problems are also associated with using the mobile phones, and the infrastructural facilities are also very important, such as electricity. In definitely after 2014, I should say, when this new government came into force, then they have concentrated on providing electricity of many of the villages where it was not there. But still, few areas are still left out where electricity is not there. If electricity is not there, if internet connectivity is not there, if the people cannot afford to buy the instrument, they cannot use it. Although mobile phone is having very much positive role in the field of education, but we have to overcome with all these uh, essential aspects, as well as we should also provide some sort of training to the children with special needs also. And training needs are very much important, because they should be aware that what kind of software they can download, how they can use the mobile phone technology. So these things are also very important. We need to provide trainings, awareness programs. We have to conduct various outreach programs. We have to provide.
Hope I'm audible, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Okay, so e-learning has provided an opportunity to the educators to reach to the students by using various technological tools, and that give me the motivation to write a research paper on e-learning. So e-learning can be simply understood as a learning enabled through internet. And during the corona pandemic, particularly during the lockdown period, many government initiatives had been taken by the government with online learning platforms like ePathshala, Diksha, National Repository of Open Educational Resources, National Institute of Open Schooling, and other initiatives like eYantra. So this were some of the research papers which I reviewed for my research work. I'm not going to read the papers findings. Now, the significance of the research of my research is, as in today's digitalized era, technology has a significant impact on the students' way of learning, and many colleges, universities, or educational institutions have started up with e-learning courses, and it is quite becoming a relevant in today's time of corona pandemic. So my research study is trying to provide an insight on the students' attitude towards e-learning. The scope and coverage of the research. So my study was basically conducted on the students studying in the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, that is in Vadodara city of Gujarat. The study covered the students pursuing their bachelor degree in commerce stream. And the study focuses on students' attitude towards e-learning as well as their technology usage and their skills. These were my research objectives, wherein I wish to examine the university students' attitude towards e-learning, to study whether technology usage and skills have an impact on attitude towards e-learning, to find out whether the attitude of university students towards e-learning differs based on their demographic factors. I have taken 2 demographic factors for my research study, gender and age. And the last objective of my study was to find out whether the attitude of university students towards e-learning based on their usage of technology and skills differs according to their demographic factors or not. And these were my hypothesis, which was formulated and which was tested with the help of statistical tools. Research methodology. So mainly my study was based on descriptive research design. I have used primary data as well as the secondary data for my research study. Secondary data basically was collected through journals, websites, books, and published data, whereas primary data was collected through Google Forms. As in today's condition of corona, it was not possible to get the data through the questionnaire. So I have formulated the Google Forms, and that was passed on to the students. The sampling decisions, in which the data was collected from 85 undergraduate students of commerce faculty of Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, and non-probability convenient sampling method was used. And the research instrument, as I've said, it was through Google Form, and 5-point Likert scale was used to collect the data. This is my reliability statistics. Reliability test resulted into Cronbach alpha value, and for both the dimensions, the value came out to be 0.830 and 0.895, which is considered quite good. This is the table that shows the demographic variables of the respondents, and from this we can come to know that about 68.2% of my respondents were female, and 31.8% of my respondents were the male. And the age, if you look at, then 47.1% of the respondents were belonging to the age group of 20, whereas 29.4% of the respondents belong to the age group of 19. Now, a question was asked to the students as to rate their overall attitude towards e-learning on the scale of 5-point Likert scale, that is ranging from extremely high to low. and 40% of the student respondents had an average attitude towards e-learning, whereas 21.2 respondents had above average attitude. 18.8% of the respondents were having high attitude towards e-learning, and only 7.1% of respondents were having extremely high attitude towards e-learning. This was the technology that they used for e-learning, wherein 75.3% of respondents were using their mobile phones or their smartphones with the internet for having an e-learning. So the hypothesis that were formulated was tested with the help of various statistical tools. The foremost hypothesis was that there is no significant impact of technology usage and skills on the attitude towards e-learning, which was tested with the help of regression analysis. And the result of regression analysis showed that the R value came out to be 0.809, which shows that there is a significant impact of technology usage and skills on the attitude towards e-learning. And the R square value came to be 0.654. That means that 65.4% of variation in attitude towards e-learning can be because of technology usage and skills. Again, the ANOVA table of regression analysis shows a significant value to be 0.000, that is less than the table value, and therefore we are going to reject the null hypothesis, and we can say that there is a significant impact of technology usage and skills on attitude towards e-learning. The second hypothesis, which aimed to find out whether there was a significant difference in the selected students' attitude towards e-learning on the basis of their technology usage and skills, according to their demographic factors. So a chi-square test was applied to test the hypothesis, and the value of chi-square test, that is the p-value, came out to be not significant or non-significant in both the cases, that is gender and age. So here we accept the null hypothesis, and we can say that there is, yes, no significant difference in the students' attitude on the basis of their technology usage and skills towards e-learning based on their demographic factors. The third hypothesis, that there is no significant difference in selected students' attitude towards e-learning based on their demographic factors, again gender and age. So that again turned out to be insignificant, and we have to accept the null hypothesis over here. These were my limitations and scope of my research study, wherein the research study was just confined to 85 selected students of commerce faculty from the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Baroda, that is in Vadodara city. And therefore the result cannot be generalized, that as it is just restricted to one particular stream of education or one particular stream of course. The scope, the future study can be conducted by taking a larger number of sample size involving even the post-graduation students. And again, the study can also be conducted on the students from various streams like science, arts, or even the professional degree courses. Students can be covered from different colleges and universities. As a concluding note, I can say that the students had average attitude towards e-learning. Again, the study showed that the technology usage and skills had a significant impact on the attitude towards e-learning. And there was no significant difference in the students' attitude towards e-learning based on their demographic factors. These were the references. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone want to ask a question? Thank you. Now, our next candidate, shall I move to the next? So our next candidate is B. Imna Park.
Yes, ma'am.
He's here?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I'm present here.
Okay, okay. Okay, sir. So,
Can
sir,
I show the slide?
start your, yes, sir. Yeah, you can start.
Can connect the students from schools to youths, those who are working. And digital learning will act as a breakthrough to know the present world of digitalization, which will in turn play a vital role to strengthen youth to cope with the competition. So these are the benefits of online education. You can see student-centered, which becomes student-centered. Increased students' interaction will be cost-effective. flexibility, accessibility, and online documentation. Now, coming to the findings and the conclusion, the study indicates that the state of education in India is still very dismal, especially in the rural areas. The education sector is currently battling grave challenges, such as shortage of teachers, outdated teaching methods, inadequate teacher-student ratio. But however, with the adoption of digitalization of education, students in educationally backward areas are being taught with the help of the latest technology and methodologies. And India has its largest ever adolescent and youth population, and it will continue to have one of the youngest population in the world till 2030 as per the United Nations Population Funds. So the government of India has taken major initiatives for the development of digital education in India, like the opening of IITs and IIMs in new locations, as well as allocating educational grants for research scholars in most government institutions. And the government of India has further announced plans to digitalize academic records such as degree, diploma, mark sheets, migration certificates, skill certificates, etc., from secondary to tertiary level institutions into a national academic depositories. So thank you so much for your patient hearing. And I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to present my paper.
Thank you so much, sir. Nice presentation. Anyone want to ask the question?
I would like to tell that really this speech is very interesting, and I'm agree with this my colleagues that we need to be flexible. We need to teach our students to be flexible, but at the same time we need to tell our students that they need to deal with real activity like sport, like music, not only digital skills, because we are human and we need to save our our natural and I mean we need to use digital and real life also at the same time. Thank you so much, very interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Girja C. Girja C. No. And next, Pooja Pant. Pooja Pant is there?
Now only. I finished now only.
Pooja Pant.
What?
Only that or?
No, only that one.
The Pooja Pant is
no
there.
Preparation, right?
Education sector in India. So we know socialization plays an important role in our life, that is building up of culture and subculture, etc. So in education, the socialization begins or start with our family, and second step, it start with our schooling, and third from our college life. So socialization influence through which a person acquires culture and subculture of their group, and of accomplishing these cultural elements in our individual character and personality development, and it shaped our cream of personality or our behavioral structure. So education's role in socialization process that prepares individual to lead a meaningful life and effective and healthy interaction with other people, not in a illegal manner but in a legal manner. So social forces plays an important role in shaping the structure of socialization. So this paper is to analyze the role of socialization in education sector and its impact. The socialization moves from these criteria or factors, that is, it includes accepting the values or cultures, acquiring, adjusting, and adapting. These are the main factors or main circle of socialization, and it includes values, beliefs, customs, expectations, attitudes, thoughts, social skills, and personality. The main objectives of my research paper includes to study the importance of socialization on education sector and to analyze the factors influencing in shaping one's identity. The research methods of my study includes, the study includes both primary and secondary data. Primary data were collected from online survey, that is from Google form, from 60 respondents. The study adopted convenient sampling technique for selecting the respondents from various sources. The secondary sources includes past research studies, websites and articles. Percentage and mean deviations are used for analysis and interpretation purpose. The main results and findings of this study includes majority of the respondents are females. Then most of them are categorized into 23 to 24 age group, and majority of them are graduates. Then the main findings includes family, teachers, friends, and social medias are playing foremost roles in developing socialization in education sector. Then the reading habits are showing very low level of performance in today's scenario. That is, the students are not interested to read books and find out their any type of factors or any type of conclusion from reading books, that they are not ready to read or spend time for reading books. Then parents act as the primary role in socialization, so play an important role in the development of socialization of their children. Then second part categorized into teachers. Teachers are the secondary agent of socialization, and it helps the child in deal with position, authority, cope up with the problems with the society, and to achieve their goals in a fruitful manner. Then the third important factor according to today's scenario is social media. Social media plays a very important and crucial role in developing socialization among education sector. And next, the shyness and language barriers are the problems faced by most of the students. That is, by facing stage fear and talking problems in effective language, and editing problems. They are talking but without editing process. They are talking, they want and or their imaginations, but they are not doing any type of editing. It is the main problem of this lack of editing is lack of reading criteria, or they don't have any reading habits. Then most of them are very open-minded and sensitive in their character. Students are very open-minded and they are very sensitive in their character. Then most of the respondents are believe in ourselves. This is a main theory followed by them. They all are believe in their self. Then socialization and cultural values leads to reduce conflict, stress, and helps to create own identity in the society. These are the main importance of socialization. Then through education, society imparts its knowledge, skill, values, and behavioral patterns. Then the main recommendations of this study includes parents plays main important and crucial role in developing socialization among students and their children. So being as an agent of socialization, parents have to provide their children every opportunity to develop good skills and culture values from home itself. The starting point is the home. So all parents have to take care of their child to develop cultural values for functioning in a successful manner in the society. Then next recommendation is the main role played by the educators, that is the teachers. Socialization of a child after the family and parents goes to teachers or educators. So educational institutions should have to take initiative to facilitate socialization in students' life. Then of course, social media plays positive and negative impacts. Most of the times it used by the students or the parents or any younger generations are using negative trend. That is, it leads to misbehavior trend among the students. So parents and teachers should provide proper media education to children regarding how to use the communication devices in an effective manner. So encourage children to read books and to improve their socialization knowledge and skills. Education sector authorities should have to take initiative, that is include socialization as a part of curriculum and introduce a paper regarding this particular subject. That is, nowadays the sociology is the main subject, or curriculum also includes the socialization as a subject. Other curriculums are not considering socialization as a main subject. So take initiative to include socialization as a main paper in all streams of education. Then should introduce and provide skill development programs and inclusive education programs or events to students to improve the personality and their cultural and to improve their confidence level. Then rectify the misbehavior of children through proper caring and counseling. Otherwise, it leads to suicidal attempts among the children and young generations. Then students from backward or village areas should be made aware of importance of socialization and education and encourage them a good quality of performances. Provide proper guidance from family, school, college, and society to develop, maintain cultural values for effective socialization to children to achieve their ultimate role, that is the quality of education. Then schools and colleges are the main agents of socialization. So they have to teach subject knowledge of life skill, but also social skills through their interaction with teachers, staff, and students. Inclusive of life skills, they have to part socialization also. The present today's college life and school life has also to perform some of the functions of the family. So it develops certain desirable moral attitudes and good social habits among their children by through NCC, NSS like extracurricular activities and tasks to students. These are the main recommendations of my study. So socialization is a main element of education. So children are learned from family and from education institution, that is from educators. This is the 99% are socialization are from the family and from the school or colleges. So education and families are the main or important role in socialization. So to change a particular individual's behavior, so institutions plays a vital role in transformation and creation of knowledge and skills. So as an agent of socialization, family, school, peer teams, mass media, public opinion, and religions are the most important factors. So the role of education means socializing to keep the society smoothing and remain stable and for a better future to our younger children. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving me such an opportunity. Thank you to Research Society and all the organizers of this program. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Next candidate is Pooja Pant. Pooja Pant is there? Next, Dr. Ritika Sharma. Dr. Ritika Sharma.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, fine.
Share your screen now. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not going to share any PPT or any presentation
Okay,
here.
okay, ma'am.
I'm going to give an overview of my paper here. I'm Dr. Ritika Sharma. I'm from Amity Institute of Education, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh. My topic of the paper is invigoration of 21st century skills with digital tool in teaching learning process. As you all know that, we all are living in such a fast growing world where every aspect of human life is being affected very quickly and due to this advancement of science and technology. And when we talk about balance of human mind with the progress and development, we need to be equipped with certain skills. So that we can assure us to deal with challenges and issues which we are facing in our society. And specifically when we talk about education field, there is a need for development of similar skills, like those skills which we are needing in our day-to-day life. So we need those skills in education field also. And when we specifically talk about these skills in education field, and we call these skills as 21st century skills, which are very, very important for teaching learning process. And to develop such qualities, such skills among our students in specifically in education field, we need to see that how we can develop these skills. It is not only about the construction of knowledge through bringing some change in the content matter, but we need to see that how we can communicate this knowledge to our students so that they can also become the co-creator of that knowledge, not only the passive listener of that knowledge. So this paper mainly focuses on how digital tools can be instrumental in developing the skills of 21st century and illustrate its importance through some examples also. So I have given some examples of certain digital tools that, how we can take help from these tools to develop certain skills among students. So if we talk about 21st century skills and those skills which are also mentioned in our recent National Education Policy 2020 in India, it emphasizes on holistic development of students